our system is a lot different, really, than what you would may say traditional music theory systems. But you know, jazz music theory is a new field, really. You know, when I was in school, there was no real music theory sort of set to this music, to this particular music. So what I've done is in our systems is we've formulated it into a total system for you to access your, you know, your spirit, your music, your improvisation. Okay, so these are some of the tools. So we stopped last week. We started to deal with the Trinity of Diminished, but you know, the real awakening is ourselves. The real awakening in music is ourselves, you know. You know, I don't need to go back over this, but you guys know that you are sound. We are, you know, the piano's not going to do shit until I play it. You know, it's all about us. That's where it starts. Okay, so that is what we're talking about with the awakening. So I want you guys to be so grounded in the fundamentals of music, and we're dealing with these first 5 topics. The chromatic system is not a scale, it's a whole concept of playing, and we're going to dig deep into that. The 2 whole tone systems, they're not really a scale, they're 6-note series, all right, moving in whole steps, all right. And the Trinity of Diminish, and we talk about the 12 families. Now, these 12 families, I'm talking about the 12 scales, all right? So if you don't know all your scales yet, don't worry. You'll know them, but it's more important to know them in this particular way, because trust me, it's going to help you in the long run. Okay, so just trust me on this. I've done all the heavy lifting, years of probably taken all the brain damage for you out of music theory to make it real simple so you can apply it. That's the whole point. You want to apply this stuff in your playing. Okay, so when we talk about these 4 scale groups, those are 4 cousins of major. You could say that they can be major or minor scales that are related. They're all related. These 4 scale groups. And how are they related? They're related through the Trinity of Diminished, because 3 times 4 equals 12. So we're talking about 4 majors, 4 minors, and even 4 so-called dominant chords. Okay, so we're gonna touch into that. Okay, these are the core topics, all right, in our theory system, and I want you guys to just be grounded in this. You don't have to master it all right away, but know what it is. Be aware of it. Know what it is, and know that it's the foundations of music and for your system. Now, a lot of people don't know the pentatonic scale is actually a symmetrical scale too, but we use it in our music metaphysics, and we're going to talk about that a little later too. All right, so this is our awakening, you guys. This is our awakening. We went over this, you know, so it's all about you. All right, now we talked about the chromatic scale last week, and I want to go into a deep dive tonight into it, and we're going to start to practice. So I hope you guys, everybody, you know, has your instrument out. You can just stay on mute, and you can practice some of these exercises that I'm going to be showing you tonight. Okay, and these are exercises that I inherited. I've embellished them, and I want you guys to just get into these with me. Okay, so let's talk about the chromatic system in a little more detail. Okay, because this is like the mother system, right? So everyone should know the chromatic scale, right? So just warm up, you know, warm up. If you're a piano player, I learned this trick from Barry Harris. You know, traditionally they tell you to use your first 3 fingers when you're practicing your chromatic scale, and that's great. You know, you should be able to practice them. This is for piano players. This is for piano players, but it's great if you don't know. You can get to the piano and you're learning piano. You know, you can use the last 3. So it's like you're crawling up like a spider up the piano, right? The last 3 fingers. I thought that's slick, because if you're playing a chord, you know, and so I learned that little trick. So you can, actually, I show cats, my piano students, just to get them started, you make an okay sign, and you can just go. So so you can get used to using the last three. Now, if you're playing saxophone or trumpet or guitar or whatever instrument you have in your hand right now, your voice, just get used to the sound and moving what the chromatic system is. Now, we use it as a system, you guys. You guys should know. It's just one. It's one. Even though it's 12 notes, it's represents everything. So everything is going to be in there. There was a if you ever run into you say, okay, I hit a wrong note, just go up a half step, go down a half step, man. You're gonna be cool, okay? So it's like, it's everything is there. So you have to be real familiar with it. Now, it's important to understand that your chromatic system, so like how we use it as a system, say you're gonna use all your chords, all your scales, all your lines, and you're gonna move them chromatically. Okay, so for instance, if I was to play a C major sharp 11th chord, right? That's C major 7 with the sharp 11th, right? That's one way of calling it, right? Now I can move this chord up chromatically. Now every time I move, I'm in a different key, right? Okay, you see, now so you guys should practice moving chromatically, and practice like, say, one line. I just know one line, right? Well, I'm going to take that line through all of up and down chromatically, but you're going to eventually learn all your scales, right? Okay, so that's how we use it in the system. That's one way of practicing. Okay, now the chromatic system, like I said, move everything. Your arpeggios, like if you do an arpeggio, you know what an arpeggio is, right? You're just gonna play. You practice everything like that. You guys practice your arpeggios. Lines, scales, every movement. Now, the chromatic. The reason why I'm showing you this, and we talk about this chromatic system, because it actually is going to substitute for a cycle of fourths and fifths. All right, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But they do substitute for each other. Okay, so you know how we always say you take a chord and you go take an upper fourth down a fifth, right? And taking it chromatically is the same, almost the same thing. But it's the movement is the same because they can substitute for each other. All right, so just for now, just know that the chromatic system is substitutes for the cycle of fourths and fifths. That's why this picture is there. Okay, all right. So for instance, like if you're saying like C minor, right, and I'm going to B flat, right, I can use F or B. All right, if I'm doing a dominant scale, or even if I'm doing a minor. Okay, if you're playing modern. Okay. Now, that's just the rules of music. How you're going to use it is going to be, you're going to have to work this stuff out, work it out, okay? But I'm going to give you some hints right now.